You know, crying, it's one of the most fundamentally human things we do, right? It's this universal response we have to everything from deep, deep sadness to pure, overwhelming joy. And yet, for centuries, we've barely understood it. We've kind of just dismissed it. But what if I told you that inside every single tear is a complex chemical message, a secret language that our body is speaking?
So let's dive into that. We're going to tackle some pretty simple questions that, it turns out, have incredibly complex answers. Like, why do strong feelings literally make water leak from our eyes? And maybe more importantly, is a tear you shed from happiness the same as one you shed from sadness? Well, the answer to that is a huge, resounding no.
I mean, even the great Charles Darwin was completely stumped by this. At one point, he just called emotional tears purposeless. And honestly, for a really long time, that was pretty much what everyone thought. But science has come a long, long way since then, and we now know that tears are anything but purposeless. They're actually a super sophisticated biological tool with very distinct jobs.
To really get this, we have to start with one basic fact. Not all tears are created equal, not even close. See, your body is making tears all the time, but they fall into three very different categories. Each one has a very specific job to do. First up, you've got your basal tears. Think of these as your eye's 24/7 maintenance crew. They're always there, keeping everything lubricated and protected. Then you have reflex tears. These are the emergency responders. They get triggered by stuff like onion fumes or a piece of dust in your eye, and their whole job is to flush out the problem. And finally, we have the emotional tears, the very ones that baffled Darwin. These are triggered by our feelings, and they act as these incredibly powerful signals to the people around us. So, okay, we know their jobs now, but what are tears actually made of? It's so tempting to just say salt water and call it a day, right? But that barely even scratches the surface. Every single tear is actually a complex biological cocktail, and it's carefully formulated for whatever its mission is. All of our tears share these basic building blocks, and they form this really sophisticated three-layered film over our eyes. There's an oily lipid layer on the very outside to stop them from just evaporating, a watery layer in the middle, and then a sticky mucin layer on the inside so it all adheres to your eye. But the really fascinating stuff is hiding in the proteins and the other little chemicals called metabolites. And get this, one of those proteins, an enzyme called lysozyme, is an unbelievably powerful antibacterial agent. We're talking about something that can knock out up to 95% of all bacteria in just 5 to 10 minutes. Your tears are literally a first line of defense for your immune system. But this is where it gets really specific, because researchers discovered that emotional tears, well, they're just built different. When you compare them to those basal or reflex tears, they're carrying a much heavier payload. They've got way more proteins and, most importantly, hormones that are linked to stress. And this discovery led to what scientists now call the stress excretion hypothesis. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is actually something you've probably felt your whole life. You know that sense of relief after you have a really good cry? Well, that's not just in your head, it's physical. The theory is that when we get stressed, our body produces all these chemicals. Crying acts like a release valve, literally flushing those stress hormones out of your system and helping your body get back to normal. So yeah, when someone tells you to cry it out, they're giving you solid biological advice. Now, for decades, that's pretty much where the science was at. 3 types of tears, and emotional tears help us regulate stress. But you know how science is. Recent research started asking a much more subtle question, and it took us right to the frontier of what we know about our own bodies. Are the tears you cry at a wedding chemically identical to the ones you cry at a funeral? I mean, intuitively, it feels like they should be different, right? But could you actually prove it? Well, a groundbreaking study set out to do just that. And what they discovered was just stunning. They used this high-tech method to analyze the chemical makeup of tears from people watching sad movies versus tears from people watching really happy, moving videos. And the difference was crystal clear. The negative sad tears were full of chemicals linked to inflammation and stress hormones. But the positive happy tears, they were correlated with metabolites involved in energy and alertness, things like biotin and even caffeine metabolism. It's just incredible. Our emotions are literally creating chemically distinct signatures in our tears.
Now, this is way more than just a fascinating piece of trivia you can bring up at parties. This discovery, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities for science and for medicine. If our tears carry such specific information about our emotional state, you have to ask, what else can they tell us? The key concept here is something called a biomarker. A biomarker is basically just a biological signal, a clue. So just like how high cholesterol is a biomarker for heart disease risk, these unique little chemicals in our tears could one day become biomarkers for our mental and physical health. And the potential here is just mind-boggling. I mean, imagine a future where a single, totally non-invasive tear sample could help doctors diagnose mental health conditions like depression, or where tiny biosensors could detect the early signs of diseases just from your tears. The researchers even pointed out that this could lead to a chemical method for telling if tears are fake, crocodile tears, in places like a courtroom. So think about this journey we've just been on. We've gone from thinking tears were just purposeless salt water to understanding they're a complex, three-layered protective shield, a built-in stress relief system, and now a highly specific messenger carrying the chemical signature of our deepest emotions.
It really just leaves you with this one final thought. We are just beginning to decode the secret language that's written in our tears. And if a single drop can hold such a wealth of information about our emotional and our biological state, it really makes you wonder, what other profound secrets are our own bodies just waiting to tell us?